Sunkern. With only a pitiful base stat total of 180, it is the weakest Pokemon to have ever existed. With that in mind, I propose the following question. Can you beat Pokemon Emerald with only a Sunkern? The rules are simple for this run. Only have a Sunkern use a move in battle, minimize grinding, and do not use any items in battle as to prevent heal spamming. With all of this out of the way, hello my fellow entities of the interwebs, and welcome to today's challenge. We begin our journey in Little Root Town, where we must go through the basic tutorials of setting a clock and interacting with various things like a computer and our mother. After that, we are drawn to the edge of town where Professor Birch is in trouble. Upon inspection of his briefcase, we find the start to our amazing adventure. Is what I would say if I didn't want an advantage going into this. In Generation 3, the physical special split hasn't happened yet, which means that all grass-type moves are special moves. For that reason, it is optimal to use a Sunkern with a modest nature, as it will give us increased special attack and lowered attack as we gain levels. We are going to have to reset until we find one with a modest nature, though. This took 15 minutes to do. Moving on, we wrap up the fight against the Zigzagoon quickly, get our companion for the next however many hours of gameplay, and make our way up to Route 103 to battle May. Thankfully for us, she leads with a Mudkip, so we take care of her quickly. We go back to the lab, get 5 Pokeballs, and then head back up to catch a Zigzagoon and name them Zig. We need at least one for the use of Cut, Rock Smash, and Surf HMs, but getting an additional one for free pickup value is nice to have. After capturing an appropriate amount of field wardens, we head west to Petalburg City, supervise a kid as they try to catch a Pokemon, meet a dude named Scott, and walk onto Route 104. Here, it is important that we grab a heart skill hidden here on the beach, as it could be a helpful tool later. We battle some more trainers, get paid handsomely, and venture into Petalburg Woods where we face off against a slightly scary dog, but take care of it no problem. Finishing up our little foray through the forest, we pick up a few more items, battle a few more trainers, and oh hey, a double battle! Alright, well, we have a trick for this. If you have only one Pokemon on you, anytime you talk to or walk in front of a trainer pair, they will refuse to battle you unless you have 2 or more in your party. This means that we can dodge having to use 2 Pokemon, battle a fisherman, and make it to Rustboro City. The first thing we do upon arriving is get the HM for Cut, as it is a field move that will help us greatly in a bit. After that, we get the Quick Claw from the Pokemon School and give it to our Sunkern just in case we are outspent in battle. Now, with all of the preparation done, we enter the first gym and it turns out to be really easy. It's to be expected, of course, due to the typing being Rock and with most Pokemon present being Geodude, a Rock and Ground type. But it was laughable how little of a challenge it was. Roxanne's Nosepass was the only thing that survived more than a single hit, but even that went down swiftly. Oh well, with all of that done, we got the Stone Badge. Upon leaving the Rustboro City Gym, we are greeted with theft and an iconic line of dialogue. We pursue the Aqua run to Rustorf Tunnel and face a slightly stronger canine. It proves to still be a joke, and we finish the fight no problem. We are then thanked by an old man for saving his bird, return to the city, get a phone, and battle May again. Her first Pokemon is a Torkoal, which only used the move Curse until it fainted. I don't know why it did this. It has both Smog and Ember, moves that are super effective and would likely cripple me, but I guess that I shouldn't be complaining. The Mudkip is next, which is still as much of a punchline as last time. Get paid, box our lovely Zig, and head back through Petalburg Woods. Instead of actually progressing by talking to Mr. Bryony, we go into Petalburg, grab Zig again, head back through Petalburg Woods, and talk to this NPC just east of the cut bushes that gives us a Miracle Seed. This will increase our grass-type damage by 20%, 10%, so this is an extremely important item to grab. We swap out the Quick Claw and head back down to Route 104, talking to Mr. Bryony and taking the ship down to Dewford. Upon arriving, we get a stick that we will never cast, a number we will never call, and an item we will never use. We then learn what our trendy saying is, deliver the package to Steven, and get a TM that we will never teach. Finally, we take on the second gym. This time, we deal with fighting types, which are slightly more scary than rock types for us. After clearing out the gym trainers, we take on Brawley, who we will do a method that will be consistent through this playthrough. Use growth until on low enough HP, and then hope you can sweep. You only need to worry about Machop using Seismic Toss and Makuhita using Reversal on low HP for this fight, so overall, it is a pleasant battle that serves as a calm before the storm. A reward for completing this is the Knuckle Badge. With all business done in Dewford, we head for the shores of Slateport, battling many beachgoers along the way. We then clear out the seashore house to get a free 6 soda pop that we probably will not use, and pick up a heart scale or 2 along the way. After combing the sand for a bit, we talk to a guy named Doc, pay to enter a museum, and then fight off 2 Aqua grunts. Their leader, Archie, then walks in, talks a bunch, refuses to elaborate, and then leaves. We hand over the parts, do some battles, solve the trick house, and then get into a 3rd battle with May. The fight follows the traditional setting up with growth and then destroying each Pokémon. Even the Slugma, a fire type, falls easily due to their low special defense. It's an easy win like last time, and so we continue on to Mauville City. It's here that I realized that I did not grab the harbor mail from Slateport City, so I get a mock bike and go all the way back just to buy one. We travel back through the cycling road, forgetting to deal with all of the trainers on this accelerating path, and then beat up Wally. We then exchange the harbor mail for the coin case, and then venture into the game corner where we will do the most important part of this run. Underage gambling! Whoa, look at all these free coins we got! Let's play the roulette table for some wins. Woo! We got a hit! Hey, we got another one! Yo! Let's do the 3-wager board. Jackpot! Alright, I'm pausing here for a moment. The way this bit was originally going to go was that after the jackpot, I would cut to me having no coins and then just buying the amount needed for double team, which is 1,500 coins. What ended up happening, though, is that I kept winning because the odds of me missing the jackpot 6 times in a row is roughly a 1 in 2 chance. This resulted in me actually getting the coins I needed while I was actively trying to throw it all away. Moving on, we use the double team TM on Sunkern, replacing Ingrain. This will allow us to set up even more effectively than before, given that we have the luck and survivability to do so. We then move on to Route 117 to clear out the various trainers and... oh. Okay. Dustox resists grass on both types and is a special wall. Some attempts later, we beat the Bug Maniac, cry about the existence of Rosalia as a Pokémon in Generation 3, and then take on the Winstraits. Victor is the easiest of the trainers to deal with as long as you take care of the Tailo quickly, which should happen if you have beaten a large number of trainers at this point. Victoria is next, with the Rosalia that will almost certainly paralyze or poison you by the time the fight is over. Vivi follows, who can be taken care of if you set up enough while either fighting through the turn-wasting paralysis or the turn-rushing poison. Vicky is last, and can be terrifying to take down as her Meditite has high jump kick. If you're poisoned, hope she misses while trying to outpace the damage from poison. If paralyzed or without a status, use double team until the Meditite takes itself down. This will come down to luck if you have not grinded, but in just a couple of attempts it can be done to earn a Macho Brace, which is not useful to us. The only thing left for us is the Mauville City Gym, posting many electric moves to potentially paralyze us. The only gym trainer of note here is the one that uses a Gulpin, as their ability is Liquid Ooze, which damages us when using absorption moves. It's best to set up on their initial Pokémon and one-shot the Gulpin afterwards. Only Watson stands in the way now, and he is actually a challenge. He leads with a Voltorb, which knows self-destruct. If you've been following exactly with my progression, you will lose more than half your health from the attack if he does it. The alternative is that the Voltorb uses Spark and runs the chance of inflicting paralysis. The best course of action is, what a surprise, use Double Team and then Growth until on low HP. Electrike is only a threat if you allow it to get off too many howls with a quick attack, so it goes down easily. The Magneton deals a lot of damage with Shockwave, which cannot miss, so I have enough boost and special attack to deal with it. Finally is Manectric. It is leagues simpler to take out when compared to the Magneton, so close the fight off with a victory and a Dynamo badge. Now that we have access to Rock Smash outside of battle, we can push up further into Route 111, defeating various trainers and taking a quick trip through Fiery Pass. We then try not to get stuck in a dialogue loop with an old lady, pick some berries, fight a guy on a cliff, and then take a stroll through one of the most memorable routes in Pokemon history. While frolicking through the Falling Ash, we beat some more trainers, get the Suit Sack to never take advantage of it, get a spare copy of Double Team, and make it to Fall Arbor Town. It's here that we get a valuable asset to a run, that being the Mover Learner. For just a single heart skill, we can relearn any previous level up move that we may have passed up or forgotten. Moving through the town, we kick Lynette off the PC so that we can sword Zig to battle some more trainers, and then explore Route 114. We clear through all the trainers, spook Team Magma out of Meteor Falls, and then do a nice victory lap to Rosporo City. From there, we take a shortcut to Verdanturf to get the HM for strength. We then wrap back around to take a nice trip up Mount Chimney to find an all-out battle between the two teams. We take down some grunts, the admin named Tabitha, and then prepare to take on Maxie, the leader of Team Magma. The fight begins with a fierce hound named Milestones. We simply do the normal strategy of setting up growth and oh dear. In the spirit of the challenge, we want to minimize the use of any Pokemon other than Sunkern when possible. This means that for the sake of this run, we forfeit the battle if we are forced to switch. Some of you might say just to KO the Milestones so that we don't risk getting roared, but we then fall victim to Zubat and Camerupt both having super effective moves to ruin our chances of lasting much longer. So, we just have to get lucky. Or run all the way back to Fall Arbor Town, box Zig, and then run all the way back. Which is what I did. Moving on in the fight, I set up the growth needed to take out all the Pokemon, wrapping up the fight with the Bitter Beast is nothing more than a shadow of the past. From here, we take the Meteorite for ourselves, splurge on some lava cookies, and clear out the trainers in Jagged Pass and the ones that show up to Mount Chimney. With all training out of the way, we are now prepared to take on the Lava Ridge Gym. This will be a major obstacle for us due to the primary typing being fire, but as long as we tread carefully, we will probably be fine. And the Kecleon has Flamethrower. Why am I even surprised? Many gym trainers later, and we finally reach Flannery. She leads with a new Mel and starts the battle off with Sunny Day. This helps due to Sunkern's ability doubling their speed in sunlight. Next turn, we fall in but a single blow. As expected, this fight will be no simple feat to complete. We will have to fall back once more on Double Team to carry us through. And attempt, after attempt, after attempt, we finally win the battle, claiming the Heat Badge as our own. In our first steps out of the gym, we are greeted by our rival, and after a small exchange of words, are gifted the Go Goggles, which will allow us to access the desert portion of Route 111. With little prep needed before our next challenge, we shatter the Sand Scraper, beat the trainers, remember that Cacnea is a Pokemon that is introduced in Generation 3, and take the long trip back home. The Petalburg City Gym features 7 trainers with only a single Pokemon, but don't underestimate them. In particular, the Speed Room gives an immense amount of trouble for us. In this fight, a single Swellow outspeeds us and deals a great amount of harm in a single strike. We can't use Growth to overpower it, and we can't use Double Team to outplay it. So we just have to get lucky and land a critical hit. It took many tries to do so, but in the end, we did it. As for our father, he's actually really easy compared to Watson and Flannery. We can reliably set up our boosts and sweep through like it's nothing. With a few attacks, all of the Pokemon go down, and we earn the Wally's father interrupts us, thanks us, and gives us the HM for Surf. Balance Badge! With a large amount of the world open to us, we teach Zig the move Surf and Move to take down the many trainers and routes seen previously by boat. We take care of the previously inaccessible reaches of Route 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, and the abandoned ship. We then take care of the trainers on the cycling road, choosing to ignore the trick house until much later and New Mauville until never. After that, we clear through the eastern side of Route 118 and the tip of Route 123. It is here that we meet the Berry Master and his much more enticing plots to grow various fruits. The best plan of action is to sow your leopard berries into the soil and adequately water them, so do that, instead of what I'm doing. Now it is time to take on Route 119, where we deal with trippy trainers, drizzly rainers, and some of the biggest brainers. It is best that you capture a Tropius here to later teach it flying strength. After having done that, have a moment where your brain doesn't actually remember where the rival battle is before properly continuing through the jungle. After enough distractions, we will reach the Weather Institute where Team Aqua is making a ruckus. It will prove to be no challenge at all, and as a reward, we get Cast Form, Pokemon whose national dex number is the difference of 420 and 69. We proceed to box the legendary not legendary creature, heal up in the nearby bed, and then fight our rival for a fourth time. Other than a fake out from Alambre, fight proves to be nothing more than experience points for our Sunkern. We get the HM for Fly as a reward, get compliments from Scott, then make our way through what remains of Route 119 and finally reach Four Tree City. Our main priority upon arriving is to obtain the TM for Hidden Power, a move that can prove to be extremely useful if our luck is good. We play a guessing game to get the TM, save our progress, talk to Stephen, and then get into a forced fight with the Kecleon. We use Hidden Power and... that's quite possibly the worst Hidden Power typing I could have gotten. Reset to your save and move on if Hidden Power is something you don't want on your Sunkern. Now, with the Devon Scope, we can access the 6th gym along with being able to reach the Scorched Slab where we can get the TM for Sunny Day. It can be useful if you run out of hard scales, but that shouldn't happen with how many there are in the region. Time for the gym. Seeing as we are in the mid-game and the primary type is flying, this will be no easy task. There are a few Pokemon introduced in Generation 3 that resist grass typing both ways, and we have a majority of them here. Thankfully, our high level makes most of these battles simple enough to win. The battle against Winona is a tough one. Before going into this fight, don't be like me. Use your PP ups on Giga Drain as it will take a lot of the stress off during this fight. I must also acknowledge that depending on the stat spread of your Sunkern, this fight may be easier or harder than my attempt. If it is harder, please wait until later in the video where I provide a solution to roadblocks like this and any other points in the run. Timestamp will be on screen right now. Now, on to the fight. Winona leads with a Swablu that knows Perish Song, which is a jack-in-the-box of ending the battle. We cannot use Double Team to avoid this, as the move never misses. Unfortunately enough, the best time to set up all 6 growths is here. This requires us to spin the Wheel of Misfortune more than I'd like, but this works out the best for us. Be sure to use Mega Drain to take out this Pokemon. Next, she will send out her Pelipper. This is where you will set up your Double Team stacks. You may of course ask the question of why we are doing this, as all of her Pokemon have the move Aerial Ace, which cannot miss. This is to better avoid the other moves her Pokemon have, which could make this battle way harder than it already is, like Supersonic on our current bird and Sand Attack on our Scumray. Once again, use Mega Drain over Giga Drain to KO Pelipper. Tropius will come out next. This Pokemon has the problem of knowing Synthesis and resisting our attacks greatly. My best plan of action is to lower the health through Mega Drain and then go for a KO with a single Giga Drain to avoid the use of a Hyper Potion. Scumray follows the same pattern here, but without the built-in healing. Mega Drain should be good enough. This lastly leaves us with Altaria, which is an absolutely dreadful foe to battle against. The fluffy bird of Doom resists our moves twice over, and even more knows the move Dragon Dance, making this ace an extremely threatening opponent. We have saved Giga Drain for this moment, so use it now. It is important to remember that this Altaria holds an Oranberry and that Winona may likely still have Hyper Potions, so do not be afraid to use Mega Drain to manipulate the HP. With enough luck and well-timed execution, we can make it through this fight, acquiring the Feather Badge for our troubles and overcoming what I believe during planning to be the greatest hurdle for our challenge. With the ability to use Fly, we can now go to any place we want to in but a few seconds. This will be mostly used to go back to harvest any Lepa berries we planted, but Generation 3 does have a habit of making the player backtrack. Moving on to the remainder of Route 120, there are a variety of trainers about along with items to grab if you so desire. Onto Route 121, we get the hint that Team Aqua is moving to Mount Pyre and proceed to not care enough to do anything about it at the moment. Instead, we battle our way to Lily Cove City and grab some much needed items scattered around the place. Before tackling the Mountain of Graves, we take on our rival one last time, and it proves to be less of a challenge than last time because of the minimal level change and team difference. They leave, we access the department store, play Lee's Lottery, and pick up some lemonades. We then go back, ignore Mount Pyre again, and clean up all of Route 123. After all of that is done, we finally go into Mount Pyre, but battle all of the trainers inside first. Then, after that is done, we go up the outer wall, take on Team Aqua, and that's a problem. Alright, so in order to get to Mount Pyre, we need a Pokemon that knows the move Surf. Sunkern cannot learn Surf, so as such, we need to enlist the help of Zig. This means that we need 2 Pokemon on hand to get to this point for this challenge. As for these trainers, there's no way around them or to interact with them individually. This is a required double battle for us, so an argument can be made that it is not possible to beat Pokemon Emerald with just a Sunkern. But I came in here knowing that. Our next gym battle is a required double battle, so I needed to word the rules in such a way as to bypass this restriction. This is why I made it so only Sunkern can use a move in battle. As long as our lovely Zigzagoon here does not use a move, it should be more than fine for us. So with that, we go into the fight, KO Zig for flashiness, and then take down the grunts with ease. After that is done, we talk with Archie, get the Magma emblem, climb down the mountain, get to the Safari Zone gate, access the PC, get Tropius, and then fly off to Lava Ridge Town. From here, we can use the Acrobike, if you remember to grab it, to move up through Jagged Pass, revealing the entrance to the Magma hideout. It is important to mention that this is an area exclusive to Pokemon Emerald, and with the abundance of fire types, this area can prove tricky for us. To our rescue, repels can be used to avoid encounters, as we are much higher level than anything else at this point in the game. With our Pokemon Repellent active, we make our way through the hideout, making sure to grab this PP Max along the way. The trainers here are not too difficult to beat, but some can prove to be a challenge if caught off guard. The admin Tabitha shows a little bit of this difficulty, but nothing out of the ordinary. Just a little bit past him, though, we reach a really big problem. Maxie still only has 3 Pokemon in this rematch, but they are nothing close to pushovers. His first Pokemon, Mightyena, has both Roar and Swagger in its moveset, so the logical idea is just to KO it as fast as possible, right? Well, he will then send out Crobat, which will definitely KO us if we do not have Double Team set up, and we will definitely not KO it unless we have Growth set up. So we just gotta deposit all of their Pokemon, right? Well, we need Strength to get to this point, and Sunkern can't learn it. Our solution? Use Double Team while Mightyena is out. It isn't the best of plans, but it can work if Roar misses, which it can do. To spare you the trouble of how long this took, let's just skip to the end where we beat the Camerupt and win. With one team base down, we fly off to Slateport City, watch an interview, see a submarine get stolen and do nothing about it, and then fly off to Lily Cove City to teach them a lesson. Their hideout is much simpler to get through, with their Pokemon having much lower levels and more favorable typings than Team Magma. Our only problem trainer is Matt, with a Mightyena that has Roar, but that's nothing new, so let's move on. With the sea now open to us, we can clean through routes 124 and 125. I recommend using a guide to know what trainers you have beaten so that you can get them all, as some of them can be tricky to find out in the expanse of the ocean. After that, we land in Mossdeep City. Here, we get the Super Rod and use it to catch a Pokemon that is capable of learning Surf, Dive, and Waterfall. For me, that Pokemon was the Sharpedo. With all preparations out of the way, it is time to take on the Mossdeep City Gym. The game will try to make us participate in double battles, but that isn't really our style, so we take them on one at a time. They prove to not be much of a challenge, which is the standard with most non-important battles in this game. Tate and Liza are a different story. As we are required to have 2 Pokémon in this fight, we bring in Zig to be of use to us one last time. For the most part, this battle is easy. Claydol, Solrock, and Lunatone are all weak to Sunkern. The problem is, we can't afford to leave any of these Pokémon standing, as having 2 Pokémon attack me shows much greater odds of losing. Another large problem is the Xatu. After KOing Zig, this bird will use Calm Mind every turn until it feels that it can KO us in a single hit. This is really bad for 2 reasons. The first is obvious, it's getting KO'd in a single hit. Second, though, is a boost to special defense, which makes an already not very effective Giga Drain even more not very effective. Say it with me now, we just have to get lucky. With enough luck, we can pull through and win, earning us the Mind Battle. But before I end this segment, we should deal with Team Magma once more. This time, they are a group of self-proclaimed heroes antagonized by the public that sent a calling card to steal something of value. The grunts on the ground floor are not much trouble, and the gauntlet camping the stairs proves to not be as tough as one would initially expect. This leaves us with only one battle remaining. We team up with Steven and take on Tabitha and Maxie. It's important to state that in this fight, if Sunkern faints, you lose regardless whether or not Steven is winning. It should also be said that due to Steven's Pokémon not being ours, they are not affected by the rules of the challenge and can therefore attack. This means that we simply have to set up and not feint. As for strategy, I don't really have one. Maxie's Mightyena has Swagger and Taunt to get in the way of buffing and Scary Face to make you slower than everything else. The Crobat and Golbat are terrifyingly powerful with their flying type attacks, so try to have double team set up by then. Finally, both Camerups know Amnesia to make it harder to KO them, with Maxie's knowing Earthquake crippling a large amount of Steven's team. But I suppose that for a fight as great as this, it's better to show and not tell. With Team Magma defeated for good, we get brought to Steven's house and he gives us the HM for dive, allowing us to reach the deepest depths of the ocean. And also for consistency's sake, we got the Mine Badge! Woo! With Mossdeep behind us, we ride on the back of our new HM user and make our way through the remaining sea routes. Again, I'd advise having a guide up to see how many trainers there are so that you can easily find them. For us, we take down all of the trainers on routes 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, and 131. During our time out on the waters, we will unlock the fly location for Sutopolis City for later use. We then reach Pacific Log Town, where we take a brief rest before continuing through routes 132, 133, and 134. It can be difficult to battle all of the trainers because of the changing currents, so here, for your viewing convenience, is a visual guide of the 3 routes together, along with trainer locations and routes to travel to get to every trainer. With that out of the way, we can now dive under the ocean's waves and enter the undersea cavern. There are a total of 5 grunts present to fight, along with battle against Shelly. The current puzzles are interesting. Oh, that just leads you back to the start. Moving on, Archie provides little in terms of new challenge for us, as his team is nearly identical to Maxie's in the Magma hideout. The differences are that he has a Sharpedo instead of a camera up, and that we are a much higher level than when we fought Maxie. After winning, Archie will awaken Kyogre, beginning a weather phenomenon that changes name depending on where you live. Maxie will then scold him, they will run off, and Steven will tell us to go to Sutopolis, and then fly off without giving us a lift. Thanks, Steven! Upon arriving ourselves, we will see the Titans clashing in all of their early 2000s glory. We then meet with Steven, who will guide us to meet Wallace, who will tell us to meet a Pokémon named Rayquaza. At the end of our journey, we will meet with the Emerald Serpent. Through minimal provocation, Rayquaza will fly off to Sutopolis, for which we pursue. As we land in the heart of the storm, a beam of light pierces the heavens, giving us a cutscene in all of their early 2000s glory. With the storm lifted and the ancient beasts quelled, we can take on the final gym of the game, which is Wateron typing. The puzzle inside is based around ice for some reason, and the solutions are about as difficult to find as the trainers are to fight, though. As for the gym leader, Juan isn't even that much of a challenge. His first Pokemon is a Love Disc, which is extremely simple to set up on. The only threat in this fight is the Kingdra, and that's only because of the combination of Rest and Double Team drawing out the fight and making you run out of power points. With not much effort and little hype, we get the Rain Badge, finishing off the gyms. In our final preparations, we go to 2 locations. The first is Meteor Falls. Due to having Waterfall being usable outside of battle, there is 1 trainer that we can fight here. The other location is the Trick House, where we will complete every challenge available to us at this point in time. The battles themselves are not noteworthy, but needed nonetheless. On to Victory Road, Wally guards the entrance, but with our strength it shouldn't be too hard, right? Well, the Altaria with Dragon Dance and Aerial Ace that leads the fight says otherwise. We can battle 1 other trainer in Victory Road at this current point, and while the Magneton is funny for using Lock-On 3 times in a row, we do not get nearly enough experience. Our best and only solution is something I intentionally tried avoiding for as long as possible. Rare candies. These single-use items give 1 level up to our Sunkern for each use and can be vital for certain fights that would otherwise seem impossible with our rules, like Wally. At this point in the game, I had a total of 9 rare candies on my person, getting Sunkern to level 86. As for the strategy, I used Growth 5 times and then used Giga Drain in hopes that Wally's AI would break and use Dragon Dance and Safeguard over Aerial Ace. Once you have taken it down, your only remaining threat is his Rosalia using Toxic. If the Rosalia falls, you have a straight shot to the win, claiming victory over your final rival battle in the game. As for Victory Road itself, there are a couple trainers here and there that may have a Pokemon that poses a minor amount of inconvenience, but it is nothing compared to what we have taken on so far. Be sure to bring in Pokemon that use Rock Smash, Strength, Surf, and Waterfall for navigating the terrain, along with Flash if you want to save yourself the trouble of stumbling around in the dark. At the end of the tunnel, we reach the end of our journey. If I am to be honest, I did not expect to get as far as I did. I thought that Flannery, Winona, or Tate and Liza would stop us, but they didn't. Our Sunkern pulled through every challenge that's been thrown, and we've taken down everything. If you have any ethers, max ethers, elixirs, or max elixirs, bring them into the Pokemon League. Stock up on some max potions for healing in between fights, and if you have any Leppa berries that need to be harvested, do so now. There is no turning back when we enter, so make sure that you are absolutely prepared for the final 5 fights. But before we begin, how about I go over the promised alternative strategies that I mentioned back then. Although this first strategy isn't practical, it is one that I must list. Resetting for a Sunkern with good IVs. This will allow your Sunkern to have higher stats later on in the game, but it is a pain to get as you need to get lucky with a good nature in addition to that, and you also don't know what your IVs exactly are until later on in the game. The second strategy is stat-changing berries. This is a set of 6 berries that your Pokemon can consume to lower their effort values for a particular stat. This is helpful due to how a Pokemon can only hold 510 EVs at any given time. Vitamins like calcium and HP up can increase EVs, but only up to 100 of the 252 cap for a stat. These berries include Pomeg, Kelpsie, Qualot, Hondu, Greppa, and Tomato berries. The third strategy is to break one of the rules of this challenge and just grind. You can get EVs from KOing Pokemon to ensure that your stats grow where you want to, while also allowing you to gain much needed levels. When given the choice between EVs and IVs, EVs are always the more tolerable one to go for. Our fourth strategy is rare candies. Previously, I said that I had a total of 9 on my person, but there are more. Let me give you a rundown of the location of every rare candy in the game. There's one in Route 108 hidden in the rock to the south of the abandoned ship, one in Route 110 on the small island to the northeast of the trick house, one in Route 111 in this rock, one in Route 114 at the top of the waterfall, one in Route 119 at the top of the waterfall, one in Route 120 at the top of the map in this path of trees, and one hidden on the shore, one in Route 123 in the bottom path of the tree maze, one in Route 127 on the western tree island, one in Route 132 on the north side of the westernmost island, one in Petalburg City across the southern pond, one in Granite Cave past the Mock Bike puzzles, one in completing the first trick house puzzle, one in Peak of Mount Pyre in the northeast corner, one in Shoal Cave during high tide, and one in Magma hideout on the ledge. Whew. In total, this makes for 16 rare candies that are possible to obtain, as the one in the Safari Zone is post-game. This will get your Sunkern's level to 95 or 96, as long as you've been battling every trainer along the way. Now, on to moves. Sunkern can learn a variety of different moves, and one notable combo is Sunny Day and Solar Beam. This deals double the damage that Giga Drain does, with Sunny Day allowing it to be used every turn while also doubling Sunkern's speed. This can be mixed with Synthesis for high HP gaining. You can get Sunny Day and Synthesis from the Mover Learner and Solar Beam as a one-time use TM from the Safari Zone. Sunkern can, for whatever reason, learn Sludge Bomb. This is really only useful for taking down Pokemon that are resistant to Grass, but I stayed away in favor of a completely special-based moveset. If you do want to try this out, you can get it in Dewford Town after beating the 5th gym. A much more useful Poison-type move is Toxic. With Double Team already being a usable move on Sunkern, Toxic Stalling is not a bad option, especially when paired with the healing capabilities of Sunkern. You can only get it once from Fiery Pass past the Strength Boulders, but it can be fruitful if used right. These are all the methods and moves I thought about while planning this run. There are more options like Return, Rest, and Safeguard, but their viability is questionable at best. Then again, I don't know if they're better or worse than what I did, so if you end up trying this run for whatever reason, see what works for you. Now then, how about we learn about what each of these Elite Four members has to offer for us? Our first battle is against Sydney, a master of Dark-type Pokemon. Immediately go for setting up your double teams, as his Mightyena will use Sand Attack to cripple you if given the chance. After you're done with Double Team, move to Growth. These fights do not mess around, and you should not give them a chance to strike. After KOing the Hound, Absol comes next, who knows both Sword Stance and Aerial Ace, a deadly combination that needs to be taken care of. After dealing with the potential disaster, Shiftry comes out, who knows both Double Team and Swagger to make attacking it a nightmare if left unchecked. If you've buffed up though, this shouldn't be too hard to take out. After that, the fight's pretty much decided in your favor. Cacturn can't do much, and the Sharpedo is definitely going to feint in a single blow. So with one victory claim, let's heal up, restore power points, and move on to the next fight. Our second challenge is against Phoebe, a horrifically powerful Ghost-type trainer. On the first turn of battle, her Dusclops will always use Protect, with the move following that being Curse, which can never miss. At the end of each turn, our Sunkern will lose 1/4 of their HP until either fainting or ending the fight. This is a race against the clock, and we need to make every move count. Spend the first 4 turns setting up Growth and getting lucky with what moves the Dusclops uses, aiming for Protect over Shadow Punch. Giga Drain will help gain back some of the health that you've lost, but the Curse will eat it away. Next comes her other Dusclops. It shouldn't matter at this point though, as you should be able to one-shot every one of her Pokemon, including her Sableye. The third fight is against Glacia, a dreadful Ice user. She leads with Celio, who can use Ice Ball, a frosty version of the move Rollout. Set up your Double Teams, then Growths, and then start sweeping. If you do get to low health during this first Pokemon, do not be afraid to use Giga Drain to take it out. Your second Celio will then come out, attempting to use Blizzard. Finish setting up if possible, but don't be afraid to KO if need be. If you have adequately prepared, then the rest of this fight should be smooth. It is important to note, though, that her level 52 Glalie knows Explosion, so be wary of that. With Grass having conquered Ice, prepare for the last member of the Elite Four both physically and mentally, as this will be a test of endurance and patience. The final member of the Elite Four is Drake, the obligatory Dragon-type endgame trainer. He leads with Shelgon, which is actually rather simple to set up on. The only bothersome thing it can do is use Rock Tomb to lower your speed, but do not underestimate it. Shelgon is still a dragon type of high level, and as such will resist your attacks and deal out heavy damage if caught unprepared. Use Mega Drain to KO the Shelgon, as it saves on PP for Giga Drain that will be needed later. Next out is his Flygon, who you should try to Mega Drain as well. It will immediately try to Flamethrower, and if you're hit by this attack, you can effectively restart the battle. That is because of his third Pokemon, the dreaded Altaria with Aerial Ace. You may have to manipulate damage ranges on this one, but otherwise go for Giga Drain. Its fourth Pokemon is Salamence. If this thing lands a Flamethrower, it will almost certainly one-hit KO. This thing is a pseudo-legendary with a super effective move against the weakest Pokemon ever. Hope from the bottom of your soul that an attack from this Draconic Beast does not connect and unleash any remaining Giga Drains you have. Once down, only a Kingdra remains, which falls to us rather easily. With each member of the Elite Four taken down, there is only but one challenge that remains. Ensure that your Sunkern is in peak condition for this fight, climb the stairs, and step through to become a legend. Wallace is a user of water types, but he is no easy opponent even with our type advantage. He leads with a Wailord, which knows Blizzard to ruin our day. Our best chance of surviving is to use Double Team and waste all of the PP on his Blizzard to avoid him using it anymore. It has 5 uses, so be sure to count them out. After setting up Double Team, use Mega Drain to damage Wailord. The reason is due to one of the moves it possesses, that being Water Spout. The damage of this move is greater the higher HP the user has, so knocking that value down can prove to be helpful to surviving. Once you've done that, set up your growth stacks and use Mega Drain to finish it off. Next up is Milotic, his ace Pokemon. This Serpent of the Seas knows both Toxic and Ice Beam, which can end your run if unlucky. If you've done everything properly though, this Pokemon should go down in a single hit. Following that is Tentacruel, the last of his Pokemon with an Ice-type move. I saved Giga Drain for this part as Tentacruel can be cruel to take out, so let it loose and watch the jellyfish fall. Fourth on the list is Ludicolo. At this point, his team does not have an easy way of taking you down, but be on your guard. Ludicolo knows Double Team and will use it if given the chance, so take it down as fast as possible. His fifth Pokemon is Whiscash, which knows both Amnesia and Hyper Beam. Unfortunately for Wallace, having a Water and Ground type is a terrible matchup when put against a Grass type. A single strike of the Drain will take it out. Finally is his Gyarados. It knows both Dragon Dance and Hyper Beam, but we are unstoppable at this point. Use Giga Drain to finish off the Apex Predator of the waters and Wallace as a whole. With Wallace down and out, we are congratulated by both May and Professor Birch before being lectured on not capturing many Pokemon. We are then led into the Hall of Fame to record ourselves as a champion of the Hoenn region. With our trusted Sunkern by our side, we celebrate our victory and prove that yes, it is possible to beat Pokemon Emerald with just a Sunkern. This was a large effort on my part to put together the necessary information to complete this run, so if you enjoyed watching this, please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so that you may be notified when the... And that was where the script ended. My whole process for making this video was recording the footage and then writing the script. From there, I'd record the audio and then edit the video. But something came to my mind. You see, Pokemon Emerald has a super boss. It's Steven Stone, the champion of Ruby and Sapphire. I wrote the fight off as impossible because his leading Pokemon, Skarmory, has Aerial Ace, and due to the high level, I'd just lose. But as I was going through some of the information for alternative strategies, I found something that might work. But before we get to that, we should probably do the basic post-game stuff. We have the one rare candy that I mentioned earlier inside the Safari Zone that you can only pick up from certain directions. It's weird. We also have the post-game Trick House, and we have the SS title. So you might be asking, what's my plan? Well, TM45 Attract. You see, I got incredibly lucky. My Sunkern is female, has the nature that I wanted, and through some calculations of its IVs, is incredible. And it turns out that Steven Skarmory is male, so Attract could work. But I've run the math, and it's horrendous. Alright, so, assuming that we take the time to set up Attract, Growth, and Double Team, it'll take 13 turns along with whatever it takes to KO the Skarmory. On the first turn, we roll a 1 in 3 chance of instantly losing. Toxic is just a forced loss. Aerial Ace doesn't actually KO us in one hit, but it's extremely scary, and for my attempts, I only took a run where Spikes was used. Steel Wing never gets used because Aerial Ace just has priority because it's super effective and more powerful in this scenario. Moving on, we have the issue of what move to use to attack. Long story short, boom, math on screen, we figured out that Lepa Berry with Mega Drain, that's what works best, is what I'm using. With our method of attack planned, it'll take 5 Mega Drains to KO, with the last one needing to be a critical hit in order to avoid Steven using a full restore. Now, I'm not a person that's really big into probability, but these are the numbers I got, and these are the sections that tell you, oh hey, this is where I'm getting the numbers from. Let me just read out that number there at the end of view. Yeah, so the chance of me ever getting past Skarmory in a single fight is a 1 in 6,291,456 chance. So to put that into perspective, that's less likely than me flipping a coin 19 times and for it to land on heads every single one of those times. And again, that's just for the Skarmory. We have the entire rest of the team that we have to worry about. Alright, I did not do this fight legitimately. I used save states for every turn on Skarmory. I'm not that masochistic. I don't want to waste 2 weeks of my life for internet points. Sorry to disappoint you, but you know what? For your viewing pleasure, here's the rest of the fight. I hope you enjoy. With every trainer defeated and every rare candy found, our Sunkern reaches a dissatisfying level 99. Throughout this journey, it has taken us 24 hours in real time and 35 hours in game time, not counting resets. With all of this said, we did it. I want to thank my sources, that being Bulbapedia, for the wealth of information that was provided to make this run possible. Without the site, I wouldn't have learned a lot about what I know now, so huge thanks to the many folks that have contributed to the pages over the years. For IV calculation, I used SciPoke because that was one of the first results I found, and it worked well enough. It was a bit annoying seeing the values fluctuate, but I suppose that's IV calculation for you. Lastly, I want to give a huge shout out to a GameFAQs page made by Liquify. This page gives detailed information on every hidden item location in the game, and while not always useful for this run, it helped to open my eyes on how many items I've been missing over the years. A link will be provided in the description to the page so that you can see for yourself, and I highly recommend checking it out if you plan on doing a challenge run for Pokémon Emerald. If you enjoyed the video, then feel free to leave a like and a comment, as the algorithm likes that, I think. Also, be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so that you find out when I upload next. It takes a lot of time to make these videos, and I tend to go for quality over quantity, so yeah, do that. Finally, if you want to see the run in its entirety, every recording will be uploaded to YouTube and be found in a playlist in the description. Most of you probably won't find it interesting, but for those who do, there you go, just for you. If you're still watching, thank you for sticking through to the end. I have been Generic Mystic, and I will see all of you entities of the interwebs for the next video.